Well, recently DC Animation announced a couple new projects, Watchmen and Crisis on Infinite Earth, and this led to some pretty interesting discussions with DC Studios head James Gunn and the future of animation at that studio. So let's talk a couple minutes about these two projects and the future of the DC universe on the big screen. Well, like I was saying, we recently learned that 2024 is going to see the release of two new DC films, Crisis on Infinite Earth and Watchmen, both of which are really big events in DC Comics and have fans really talking about what's going on. Now, films developed by Warner Bros. Discovery Animation, which was formerly branded the DC Universe, are all these direct-to-DVD titles known as the Tomorrowverse, but this led to a lot of confusion on how it's tied to James Gunn's DC Studios in the greater DCU. Now, Gunn eventually made it really clear they are their own standalone thing and have nothing to do with the stories he is trying to tell, which for a lot of us was pretty apparent from day one. But in that same discussion, he did reveal something pretty interesting about the DCU and their animated projects coming down the pipe. Now, one fan actually asked James Gunn if we can expect theatrical animated projects from his universe in the near future, and James Gunn simply replied, yes. Now, this means that Gunn's overall DC Studios story and the DCU chapters coming down the road will indeed include animated segments. And this means some of their future projects, unlike these direct-to-DVD sales, will be theatrical and will likely have much bigger budgets than many of the animated projects. Now, the real question, though, is the Tomorrowverse, and will these films and projects continue once DC Studios is up and running? This is something I'm sure many people who work on those projects are pretty worried about, and I think there is a distinct possibility that this could be something that is pared down. Now, there is, however, the possibility that they'll continue all of this stuff under Elseworlds. Gunn and Safran seem pretty willing to do that for multiple projects. We have the Batman and the Penguin going on, we have Harley Quinn, and we have several other things from DC Studios and from DC Animation that will fall under that Elseworlds label, and I think many fans would be disappointed if these regular DC animated movies actually disappeared. Now, this does make a lot of sense because Gunn has said for a while that DCU characters will be played by the same voice actor across animation, live action, and video games. This means while they're working with some of these actors to shoot some of the live action projects, they'll also have the opportunity to record lines for animation, and this might help streamline some of these processes and make all of these projects a little easier. It also suggests to me that there's a possibility of some of these projects being released in a shorter format in theaters. I could totally see a rather important story element told in like a 10 to 15 minute long cartoon being placed before a major DCU release. This is reminiscent of the movie days where we generally got a cartoon before a movie. You need a time machine to get back to that era, but it would give the DCU a really unique flavor and something that Marvel has never done and missed several opportunities. Hopefully the fate of the Tomorrowverse going down the road is secure. I personally love regular DC animation releases, but I do want to see where Gunn is going to take the new DCU, its animated characters, and the additional leverage a larger theatrical release will give the animators. You see how good Across the Spider-Verse was, and there's no reason that DC Studios can't match that same kind of energy. When that actually happens, we're going to have to wait and see.